Good morning, Michael. And John.
Hi, Ellen.
Good
How are you?
Hi. Good,
How are
good.
you?
I'm recovering.
Glad to hear that. How's it been?
Actually, I had my right hip done last year, which was, I expected this to be better, and it is better. Now I'm walking without the walker now, and it's only been not even 2 weeks.
Wow.
So, yeah,
Amazing.
so
That's great.
yeah, I expect that by December, I should be running and jumping. Maybe not
Be able
jumping,
to ride
but
reindeers by then?
yeah, I think so. So yeah, I'm
Nice.
coming along really well. Thanks for asking.
So great. So glad to hear it. Been thinking about you and praying for you. Glad it's
Thank you.
going
Thank
so
you.
well.
Yeah, I had a fusion. So, and you said it takes about 3 months for the bones to heal together. And I have rods and screws. So I feel like I'm going to be the $6 million woman by
There
the
you
end of
go.
the year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So Mr. B is already making plans for another cruise.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Great way to something to look forward to. Great way to heal.
that's right.
Relax.
That's right. So we're looking forward to it.
Nice. Cool. Okay, well, I think we're a little early. We'll wait another minute or two and get started. It's good to see
Good
you.
morning.
Hey, Charlene.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. Doing well.
Hey, John.
How are you, Charlene?
I've been missing you
Good.
guys, though. We haven't met for a few weeks now.
No, we haven't. I've been missing it too. Morning, Michael.
Morning. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm going to do Facebook Live again today, so we'll start that in just a minute and get started. But so glad y'all are here.
Did you guys get any of Hurricane Ian?
We didn't.
No?
It was so beautiful here. It was
Good.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Some of the tracks showed it coming, and we thought,
Mhm.
but by I guess Monday and Tuesday, we pretty well knew we were in a good place. So I thought we'd get at least some. I mean, it's a little breezy, a little windy, but
Mhm.
we'll be on Facebook Live.
Yours or
Yes,
the
yeah.
books? Okay. Yeah.
Sure. But it was beautiful, and my heart is just breaking for South Florida, Fort Myers, Naples, that whole area,
Right.
Sanibel Island. I mean, we know what they're going through.
Mhm.
We 4 years ago, we that was us.
Yeah.
I mean, in a week, that was exactly where we were. So we certainly get it. Vanessa, so good to see you. Glad you're back and glad you're with us.
Thank you. Me too. I'm glad to be back.
All right, let's get started. Let me just get Facebook going. Okay, welcome everyone. So glad to have you guys. So glad to be back together. Sorry we missed the last couple of weeks. I was keeping my granddaughter 1 week, and I forget what the other week was, but anyway, good, rich, full life. And the only thing, if I had one wish, it would be for more hours in each day. Otherwise, I can't think of anything else I could want. But anyway, so glad to have you guys. I want to talk today about something that was inspired by what's going on in the world, but it's probably not what you think, because there's a lot going on in the world. But in particular, what I mean is the change that's happening in the weather. The transition in seasons has inspired me today to talk to you about dealing with change. And I feel like it's one of the most important things we can learn how to deal with, because guess what? Change is going to happen. In fact, change is happening right now. It's happening all the time with all of us. And how we respond is going to determine our lives. I mean, it's that simple and that complex. I feel like we waste a lot of our lives resisting change. It is futile to resist. It is ridiculous of us to resist and to try to maintain control. And yet that doesn't stop us from attempting to continuously try to stop change, or to pitch a fit about change when it comes. And so there's a lot of change that happens, and we are continuously witnessing change around us and in others. And then whether we know it or not, we're witnessing it in ourselves and our lives all around us. Whether we deem the change as good or bad, big or small, it is happening. And how we categorize it, how we think about it, is going to determine how we respond to it, and ultimately the quality of our lives. How well we deal with change, because it is constantly happening, is going to determine the quality of our lives, period, the end. Many of you probably are familiar with the stages of death, or of death and dying. I feel like those are apropos for change. I mean, what's the biggest change we'll experience, of course, is death. But this response, this common response to the news that we are dying, or that we have entered the process of dying, is probably very similar, I believe, to the way we respond when change happens. The first one in the 5 stages of death and dying, that goes back to, is it Catherine Kubler-Ross? Kubler-Ross is her last name. I think it's Catherine. The first one is denial. The second one is anger. The third one is bargaining. The fourth one is depression. And the fifth is acceptance. Of course, that is where we're trying to get, is to acceptance. Now, as with dying, when we are confronting change in our lives, the quicker we can move through these stages, the better. Now, I don't mean the quicker we can move through them in the sense of doing it in some surface manner and not really dealing with what's going on. I don't mean staying in denial and pretending like it's the other steps. But if we can, what if we didn't have to go through these stages? What if our initial reaction was stage 5, acceptance? What if when change comes, we say with open arms, welcome. I've been expecting you, and I can't wait to see what happens, what you bring. I've mentioned this so many times, but Rumi talked about life being a guest house, and every day there's a new arrival. And if we greet each new arrival with resistance, then life is going to be long and difficult and frustrating. But if we greet each new arrival with excitement, oh, I am so happy you're here. I've been expecting you. I knew you were coming. I didn't know exactly when you were going to get here. But what if we did that with every change that happened? I've been expecting. You're not surprising me. I was expecting change. I was expecting this to happen. Now, if we are not there yet, if we can't get there quite yet, maybe that can be our goal. Maybe our aspiration can be, total acceptance to all things. That makes me think of when we talk about acceptance, that what we call unconditional love is in actuality unconditional acceptance. So think about, if you love someone unconditionally, that means you accept them unconditionally. I'm not judging you. I'm just accepting you just the way you are. What if we approach life like that? And what if we approach change like that? And that's really the same thing. Life is change. Life is constant change. So if we approach life with total acceptance, that means we are living in love. In unconditional love, we are accepting everything that happens. So I feel like, and you feel free to disagree, and we'll open this up for discussion in a little while, and feel free to say you don't agree with any of this. But I feel like that most of us, what we fear, if we fear change, is sudden change or quote unquote big change. We expect little changes, you know, I mean, every day we look in the mirror and we see a little tiny change. And maybe we don't notice it, we probably don't. But if we took a picture every single day of our lives and look back a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, one of the things that Facebook does is allow us to look back like that. Those memories pop up. You say, wow, that was 5 years ago. And look how different things were. Look how different, you know, look how different I looked. Look how different my life was. Look how different the world was. So we know change is happening. And I think we resist it in all forms, but I think especially we resist sudden change, big change, or unwanted change. Now, when I mention unwanted change, that, you know, there are things that are going to change in our lives that have changed that we don't want. We didn't want when they happen. We don't want when they're confronting us. The death of a loved one. It's not something we want. A category 4 or 5 hurricane destroying our home or our city. We don't want that. People doing harm to others. We don't want to see that. And when it touches those we love or us, then of course, that's not something we want. But those kind of things are continuously happening. So how do we deal with it? Number one, I would say we have to, first of all, acknowledge that change is happening. And if we don't, then we go back to that first stage of death and dying, which is denial. If I just close my eyes, I can pretend change isn't happening. If I act the same, then I can pretend that everything's not different. But we need to, as soon as possible, acknowledge that change is happening so that we can not deny, and so we can actually deal with it. As long as we're denying something, we're not dealing with it. We can't. We have to acknowledge it. So we start there. That's very foundational. But we have to do it. Earlier, when I mentioned unwanted change, number 2, I would say relates to that, and that is this. Know that even wanted change can bring stress, can bring anxiety. It's something different. It's something new. It's disruptive. Even change we were expecting or wanting, man, I've been wanting this for so long. And, the old saying of be careful what you wish for. The Tao Te Ching teaches that success is as dangerous or more dangerous than failure. And that if you are advancing up the ladder, it's just as precarious as going down the ladder. And so even changes we want to happen, even things we were looking forward to and really thought we wanted, they're going to bring stress, and they're going to bring all that goes along with unwanted changes. It's still change. So just know that even though you had been wanting this and wishing for this, A, it's going to be different than you thought it was going to be. B, it's going to bring different challenges that you didn't expect. So be aware, be ready, and embrace unwanted and wanted change, but know you're going to have similar challenges with both, with each one of them. Next, I would say that most of us, most human beings, look at life with as a story. Like our lives are stories that are unfolding. We see ourselves as the protagonist of our particular novel, the leading lady of our particular film, and we think narratively. And each of us live by myths that we've been told since childhood, myths that are part of our culture, our religion, our society, our worldview. And those are stories we tell ourselves. Stories, we come up with stories to try to make sense of the world, to try to make sense of our lives. So realize that in this story you're telling, when change happens, you have to unfold that into your story, and how you do that is going to determine how well the change goes. So if you are, I guess what I'm trying to say is, be careful of the script in your head. Be careful of the stories you're telling yourselves. Examine them and make sure they are good and healthy, empowering stories, particularly when it comes to the area of change. So just know that the voices inside your head is telling a story. And some of those stories aren't true. And some of those stories aren't helpful. And so as change is happening, examine your stories and make sure they are helpful and empowering and inspiriting to get you to where you need to be in this time of transition. I'll tell you the other thing that relates to change that is so critical is expectation. Earlier, I said the best way we could approach life and change as it arrives is saying, I expected you. Come on in. I welcome you. Many of us have absolutely wonderful lives. Wonderful. I mean, so blessed, so fortunate, lucky, privileged, whatever word you want to use, we are extremely fortunate. And yet, how many of us in that position, and I would venture to say that most of the people hearing this are in a privileged or fortunate position in many areas of life, if not all. But what if we are in that position, and yet because our expectations are even higher or other, we don't realize just how good we have it. We don't respond with gratitude because our expectations are other. That's why letting go of expectations and just accepting what is such a psychologically helpful and healthy thing to do. I'm going to accept life as my great teacher. I'm going to accept change as it comes. I'm going to not just accept it, but I'm going to appreciate it. I'm going to realize that change is needed. It's necessary. And I promise you this, if you look back on your life, many of the things that changed that you resisted the most were some of the best things that ever happened to you. That is true of me. So why haven't I learned to embrace change, to welcome it, to appreciate it, to say, good Lord, I am on an adventure. That's one of the stories I'm telling myself. It's an adventure story, right? It's a hero's journey. So change is inevitable, and it's needed for the various plot points to make this an epic journey. So realize that when we resist change, we are resisting some of the greatest gifts we're ever going to receive. And we can get to the gifts a lot sooner if we'll open and embrace and accept instead of resisting. The next one I would say is, as change is occurring, especially quote unquote big changes or unwanted changes or sudden changes, do your best to keep your regular schedule, your routines. Sometimes change comes to disrupt our routines and our schedules, and that's fine. But sometimes as we're approaching sort of big changes, things that are going to be, extremely impactful, the closer we can stick to that which is comfortable and comforting will be helpful. So just try to, if you have a certain schedule, try to stick to it. If you have certain rites and rituals, habits that you do, try to stick to them as much as you can, unless the whole point of this particular change is to change those and then accept and embrace that. Basically what we're talking about, and which we talk about this so often in all lifestyle kind of discussions to have a better life, to live a better life, ultimately it's going to come down to relinquishing control. We're wanting to control things. I mean, that's when it comes down to resisting change, is because we're wanting to control things. We're wanting to be in charge. Well, I can't be in charge and life be in charge. And I can't be in charge anyway. I mean, that's the absurdity of it, but I can pretend like I am, and I can resist these changes because I'm wanting to control when things happen and what happens. And I want to be in charge. When you're dealing with big changes, unwanted, sudden changes, try to keep and maintain as healthy a lifestyle as possible. Continue to eat well, or maybe start eating well. Continue to try to get a good quality rest and sleep, or again, get back to that if you're not doing that. Incorporate it, or I hope you can continue, but if you don't do this, make sure you incorporate exercise. Movement, exercise is so good for us, not only physically and relieving stress and tension, but mentally, emotionally. It's just so healthy, so good for us. So try to make sure you continue to do that as you're approaching change. The other thing, and this is sort of related to expectation. Earlier I was saying expectation is what's keeping us resisting change and keeping us from welcoming it. But as change is occurring, and there's a transition, right? The transition of the seasons is what inspired this morning. I love fall. Fall is my favorite time of year. And I feel like every season I say it's my favorite, and I guess they all are. But fall is very special. And between now and the end of the year, it is just my favorite time of year. And in Florida, where I live, even in North Florida, we don't get a lot of fall. But when it comes and there's a drop in the humidity and a drop in the temperature, it's I love it. And it's sentimental to me. It is it's nostalgic for the so many things that happen in the fall, like not only the weather, but the start of a new year. It's the new school year. But for many of us, that, my mom was a teacher, and of course I was a student, and the school year seemed to be far more impactful than the calendar year as far as we were concerned. And I feel like a lot of students, that is the case. It is the bonfires at night, school dances. Back then, it's not the case anymore. But when I was a kid, it was the new seasons of television, new shows coming out. You get to see what on Saturday mornings, what cartoons were coming out and what new shows. And then of course it leads into Halloween, my absolute favorite holiday, and then Thanksgiving and Christmas. It just gets better and better. Anyway, I love it. So the transition, all this is occurring, is what brought this to mind. And so as transition is happening, the best thing we can do is resist clinging to what was. I saw a really funny meme recently on Facebook that I can't say it exactly how it was said, but essentially it was saying how clingy summer was being as fall was trying to arrive, trying to take over. And it does seem like that, especially here, that the summer is so clingy and won't let go. And we need to think about that in terms of transitions in our lives and changes that are happening. Make sure that we are not clinging to what was. And that's related to expectation. We were expecting this thing to last forever. Guess what? Nothing lasts forever. Everything is changing. But the changes that are coming, they're inevitable. So guess what? There's nothing we can do about it except respond in the right way. But two, they are helpful and beneficial, and most of the time going to lead to far greater things than we can imagine. Which leads me to say that if we will let go, so let go of control, let go of clinging to what was, we're going to have far better lives, and change is going to, it's going to carry us in the great river of life, in the stream, in the flow. So we're not fighting against the current. That's what happens when we're resisting change. The great river of life is trying to carry us along, and we are fighting against it. Maybe we're, going sideways, or we're going up river against the current, and it just wears us out. It makes life so much more difficult. But if we can allow to be what will be, let go of expectation, and let go of how we thought things were supposed to be. Because each of us have that script, and inside of us, from the moment we arrived, we were being programmed. Probably before we arrived, we're being programmed. And we have a certain way we think things are supposed to be, and it's getting in the way of the way things really are. So embrace. The next thing I would say is to seek support. When we're dealing with change, especially big changes, unwanted changes, we need help. We need friends, family members who have gone through changes of their own, and hopefully we've been able to support them through those. And we need their support when we're going through big and unwanted, unexpected changes in our lives. Sometimes we need professional help. We need a counselor. We need someone to speak to, a life coach, a religious, spiritual guru, professional counselor, a support group. Maybe we change the support group. And, I started out by talking about the stages of death and dying. There's so many support groups out there. And a lot of times grief groups help when we're dealing with the loss of a loved one. But in every one of these changes, we're dealing with a loss, and the loss is what was. Change means there's a loss to what was. So look for groups, look for support. You're going to need it. The next thing I would say is I would encourage you to journal, to write down, to process your thoughts in writing. It's going to help so much. To talking to others helps tremendously, and we need to do that. But so does writing. And if you'll keep a journal, if you'll write out your thoughts and feelings, even if you burn them later, even if you destroy them, but get it out, let it, that's such a great way to process it and really have a healthy response to change. In general, I would say, let's say that at this very moment, you're not dealing with a big change, a big, unexpected, unwanted change. Fine. I know probably some of you are, maybe many of you are, but there's probably some of you that aren't. If you take a step back with a little perspective, the thing I would say to you is do your best to right now prepare for the change that is coming. If you'll think about these things we're talking about, you can prepare for the big, unexpected, unwanted changes that are coming your way. They're going to be here before we know it. If we'll begin to prepare, we will get to that place of acceptance and actually embracing that unconditional acceptance, that welcoming. We'll get there a lot sooner if we'll prepare ahead of time. I've mentioned that I went to the doctor, went to the dermatologist last week, and she was asking if I take any medications. And I said, no, I don't take any medications, but I take a ton of supplements. And that is preparation. I don't take supplements for what they're going to do today. I've taken them for decades for hopefully what they're going to do over a lifetime, and anything we can do to prepare. And again, I'm not saying prepare and expect things to be a certain way. I'm saying prepare for the unexpected, prepare to be able to embrace the unexpected. The way I parented my children, the way I approach life has been to try to prevent unnecessary bad things from happening. There's therapeutic and helpful things that happen that we think are bad or we don't want them, and it's out of our control. There's nothing we can do, but there are things that we can avoid. And I tried to, if I saw a pitfall for my kids, just physically on the playground, or climbing a certain tree or whatever it was, I attempted to give them as much freedom as possible, and yet make sure there wasn't something that would injure or harm them in a way that was not ultimately going to be good or helpful or whatever. So if we can prepare for what's ahead, and again, if we're preparing for something specific, we're getting in trouble. If we're preparing for I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and life just laughs at those plans because no. But if we'll prepare for, I'm going to be open for whatever arrives, I'm going to welcome that guest and say, I was expecting you to come. I didn't know what you were going to look like. I don't know what kind of house guest you are, but I know that whatever you bring, they are gifts from beyond, and they are helpful for me, and I am going to benefit from them. And the sooner I can get to this place of acceptance and welcoming, the better my life is going to be, and the more growth and evolution and development I can have in this life, and not have to learn the same lessons over and over, and not resist the lessons to the point that I never get to the first lesson, let alone, multiple lessons that I would like to learn while I'm here. Okay, questions, comments, reactions. Anybody have anything they'd like to say or take issue with or ask or anything at all?
Hi, I'm Vanessa. Michael, thanks for the topic. Change is, like you said, that's the only constant.
Yes, it is.
That everything is changing. I wish you could jump right to acceptance. I had a block about acceptance. I thought that meant I had to like it and I had to agree with it. And that's not the case. It's just what is. And so when a change happens, I may not like it. I may not agree with it, like you were saying, the hurricane. But it is what is. And I was thinking of some things that have helped me along the way. And one of them was with the anger is that changes, especially unwanted change, sudden change, it's not personal. Life didn't say, where's Vanessa? And this is the change I'm going to target her with. It happens. These kinds of experiences happen to everyone. Good, the bad, the unwanted, they happen to everyone. So that helps me to remember that. I think this is something you said a while back, and it really struck me, is that everything can be used for my good if I allow it.
Right.
And that's what that came to me and struck me, if I allow it. And that means just to be open in my mind and my heart that something could come out of this of value. And sometimes that value is, this is what I don't want to do or be. With this change happens, or I see something in my life. And also, this too shall pass, right? The happy and the sad, they both come and go. That's part of the change. So that can help, especially when it's unwanted and sudden, and the sadness. No one really loves to feel sad, but that does bring about a lot of depth and change I've experienced. So those were some of the thoughts. Great topic, and I'm so glad to be back. Thanks.
So glad to have you. Thank you. Yeah, you're exactly right. If anything, anytime something happens, if we take it personally, you think about it, you see people like that all the time. It's like, oh, if I didn't have bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. Or it's so unfair. Why is this happening? Why is all the bad stuff happening to me? Everybody else is. If you approach life like that, it's going to be a long, difficult, painful life. We shouldn't look at fairness. We shouldn't compare. That's the other thing about changes. There should be no comparison. And then everything is good for us if we will allow it to be. But some of the best things in life can't be good for us because we're not allowing them to be. They're unwanted gifts and we're not accepting them. It makes me think of a child, or as we've seen lately, even adults, but a childish, immature person, when a physician is attempting to give them a shot that's going to benefit them, that's going to help them, and they're screaming and crying, and this is going to save your life. And they're resisting the very thing that would be so beneficial and helpful. And we do that way too often with life and all the blessings, all the good things that are trying to be given to us. We just resist them. It's so sad. Anyone else?
Michael, I noticed during my fight with the summer flu this year and some other crises that kind of went along with it, there are a lot of spiritual traditions that involve work with disburdening yourself with unnecessary parts of life, letting go of attitudes and baggage and things that are no longer adaptive. And what I found as the little bits of my life became less and less possible for me to be involved with during this illness was that was opening up my calendar. It was opening up possibility for me. So I think, sometimes it's just our attitude about what this change is all about. It can be an opportunity for us to do that letting go that we resist so often during regular parts of life.
That's right. Very good. Absolutely. Anyone else? Let's see. We have about 2 more minutes.
Yes.
Yes.
But what John just said reminds me of a hoarder, and many people hoard stuff, material stuff that you can hang on to, but others hoard attitudes, and a bad attitude is not good to hold on to.
Right.
So I was thinking about that, and it's just crazy. People don't like to let go of bad attitudes. It's like, well, I've always been like this, and if you don't like it, I can't help it. That's not helpful to you or anybody else, so don't hoard.
Right. That's good. Good stuff. Thank you all so much for being here. I hope that this has been helpful. I hope that this week, as change arrives, that you'll accept it and embrace it. I'm certainly going to try to, and benefit from it. Learn as much as we possibly can. It is for our benefit. It is going to make us better. It may be difficult, like a good hard workout exercise where what you're doing is actually tearing down the muscle before they can rebuild. But it is so helpful. And I keep, this is the thing I would keep in mind if I were you, and I'm going to try to keep in mind, is that if I look back at my life and see all the things that I resisted, all the changes that came that I resisted, and looking back now to see how good they were and how beneficial and how helpful. If it was that way before, it's going to be that way again. So I should open up, accept, and embrace change. Love you guys. Have a great week.
Have a great week.
You
Hope to
too,
see y'all
Michael.
next week. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.